Hey everybody, Resident Loser Jeremy here, and I want to do a different type of video. I'm going to go through questions here on the computer and I'm going to answer them. I'm going to look through the comments on YouTube. I got it right down here. We're going to look and see what kind of questions you guys got. I'm going to answer them. And because I'm genuinely curious, if you like this video as we're going through, hit the like button. If you really don't like this style of video, hit the dislike button. Because I want to know if you guys want to see more of this type of video. And as I kind of figure it out, like, you guys ask a lot of really good questions, and it's so hard to actually just type them out. And some of them are going to go on to be videos because I am keeping track of these and getting really good video ideas from you guys. And some of them just make sense to just have a quick comment about it, because sometimes talking through something is a whole lot easier than typing it out. So smash the like button if you like it, hit the dislike button if you don't, because like I said, I'm genuinely curious. Here we go. Let's start with the questions. William, how many people died a little when he threw that Mac box? Yeah, it was empty, don't worry. By the way, M1 videos coming. There's a lot of people posting M1 videos all over YouTube. I'm trying to wait until I can get something. All of my plugins are completely compatible, and then give it a real test. That may be a stupid move because I'm probably losing a lot of potential YouTube views based on that, because it seems like Mac is just going crazy on YouTube right now, but we'll see. Hey, I would love to hear your take on this. Home studios are becoming very popular. Do you mix stuff recorded in a home studio? Are some of the recordings so bad that you would decline? I'm asking because I'm slowly building a little home recording studio, and there are cases where I would like to send the tracks to someone else to mix, but I'm also kind of insecure about it, mainly due to, for example, the drums being tracked with just 4 mics. Is this a good idea to talk to the mixing engineer and consult about the tracking process before tracking? Well, hey Diego, rad, thanks for the question. That is an interesting one, and I would say yes. I certainly mix things recorded in home studios. In fact, it's a lot more common than it used to be, especially surrounding the times we're in, where a lot of people were just literally stuck at home and they could not go to a studio if they wanted to. So I really don't think that's a barrier anymore. And honestly, even your mid-level studios are essentially the same size, if not smaller, than houses, and the one thing you can kind of see that would be different is how they're treated and if the room itself sounds good. And in that kind of middle ground of budgets, it does seem like you're just as lucky to find a house that sounds great than you would be to find a budget recording studio that sounds great, because a lot of the same thoughts went into building both of those. Now when you start getting into the upper echelon of studios, those are really tuned well, or kind of your mid-level studio that's really specialized in what their room can do, and they have some flexibilities that really a house wouldn't have. That's when you really start to see the differences, as well as a multitude of preamp, converter choices, just equipment in general that can kind of get you some different things that you wouldn't get at home. But that said, I don't think recording in home disqualifies you from getting professional mixing. Not at all. Quite the contrary. If you have the ability to record at home, especially if you're an artist and you have kind of a hyper focus as far as what sound you're going for, you don't need a ton of recording gear and a ton of different preamps and a ton of different compressors to try out those different sounds. You can just hyper focus into what you do, into what your sound is, and get really good at it. You're just saving money in the tracking process from going to a studio. Yeah, so don't feel bad about sending that to a mix engineer. Your question about consulting, that could be huge. When I take on a project like that of somebody recording at home, I definitely consult as far as how that tracking could happen. If for nothing else, than to just give me options down the road if something were to happen, like recording DIs on the guitar. Definitely record an amp, definitely record your pedals, but just in case, let's take a DI in case we need to redo something. Certain miking techniques, taking pictures of the recording space, all this helps a lot. And even down to like, hey, let's try to record different samples of stuff, so if we need it, we can have it. There's a lot you can learn from a consult. Definitely consult with your mix engineer. Good question. Hey brother, great channel, killer content. Wanted to ask you about your logo. Who animated it? No idea. I don't remember. I used Fiverr almost 2 years ago. I cannot remember. It was part of a much longer video. If you go back and look at one of my early videos, you can see the entire video that was made, and I've since cut it down to just that logo portion of it. I can link the guy who made the logo for me if anybody wants. I'll see if he wants that kind of attention anymore. I can link his account down below. Have no idea who animated it because their account is no longer active on Fiverr, so sorry. Do you have tips on someone who has a day job to pay the bills? How would you recommend facilitating a move to a creative career? I'm not in a position to stop working and start recording. Thanks for the question, Jason. I think you're in like a perfect spot. If I'm understanding your question correct, you're saying you already have a job that pays the bills, but you don't want to transition hard, like a cold turkey cut, into recording. And dude, that's absolutely fine. That's kind of the perfect spot because you can dip your toe in it and slowly grow, right? I mean, as long as your day job isn't prohibitive as far as your time goes, and you literally have zero time to also do this, in which case you may have to look at kind of shifting your schedule around, or those of us in the textbook 101 for hustle, sleep less, I guess, would be the one answer. But if you've got like a typical day job and you have even a couple hours, you can slowly transition into this and see how clientele works with you, see how you work with clientele, and then make the transition later really, really easy because you've already been doing it. Awesome video, great track. Your singing is really good. You shouldn't have to apologize. Could I suggest a future video on auto-tune and plugins you use for your vocal? Whatever tuning you did was barely even noticeable. Good job, guys. Thanks, Andrew. With that one, auto-tune, I put out another video on auto-tune. I'll go ahead and link it up here, where I talk about kind of my philosophy on tuning and auto-tune versus manual tuning. Me personally, I don't own anything that does auto-tuning. Well, that's not true. I have a free plugin that can kind of get it done, but I rarely ever use it. I'm mainly using Melodyne, and tuning. I have thought about doing a video on tuning. I did a live stream, one of my live streams. By the way, if you want to subscribe and hit the notification bell, you can get a notification every time we go live. I haven't done it here for a while. This life's kind of been a little crazy, but I definitely like doing those live versions, and it allows me to kind of get deeper into topics that really aren't suited for videos on YouTube. So that can really be a cool way to really get into my head and ask questions in real time, if that's something that you even want to do. But go check out that live. I'll link that up here. Go check that out. Joseph asks, does anyone use the DM20s on anything other than drums? Curious how versatile they are. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody use it on anything else, but I keep looking at that mount, wondering how I can attach it to like a short mic stand and try to record guitar, because the same things I like out of the drums, I feel like would be really, really cool on guitar or even bass cab. Stay tuned for that one. So Nick asks, thanks Jeremy, would love a video on how to build your client base. I was listening to a podcast the other day and they said, do not actually put your prices on your website so you can offer flexible pricing to accommodate different budgets. Would you recommend against that starting off and just putting prices on your site? Thanks. I know in the video you're referencing, I did put my prices out there and actually put my prices on the video itself. For me, it comes down to transparency, and I suppose this is how you run your business. I'm not saying that not putting your prices on your website is a bad move or a disingenuous move in any way. For me, it's just easier. I don't have to worry about constantly changing my price. I know the level of clientele that I typically get and the level of clientele that I'm comfortable taking on given the amount of time that I typically spend on a project. And for that, this price bracket seems to work really, really well for me. For you, that may not be the case. It may be higher, it may be lower, whatever that is. I put my prices up there just because I don't want to think about it. Anybody coming to me, no, my price is my price. That is what it is. I can make more than that by trading out my time. I'm not charging by the hour, I'm charging by a song or by the day. Tracking is the only thing that is typically linked to time. So if I get really, really good and really, really fast at mixing, and I can mix an entire record in a couple days, I make more money without changing my price. So that's kind of how I've gone about this. Not that you should speed through records and try to blast through all this stuff and not worry about the consequences, because there are definitely consequences. If you can't keep quality up while you do that, your business will really, really suffer. For me, I've always had to kind of retrain myself to follow my instinct when it comes to mixing. And in that instance, it really kind of benefits me to move fast and follow those original instincts, especially when I was the one that tracked the project. And those kind of initial ideas are already baked into the project itself, essentially. So just going further down that road for me, working quickly, following my instincts, and then Once the client gets it, then going back through their notes has been the easiest way to go about this for me. And typically within 2 to 3 revisions, we're done. Time depends on how long the client will sit with it and take to listen to it. And sometimes people want to come back and retract something. Yeah, that's fine. Well, everything's different. But typically as far as mixing time, I've got nothing more than 3 to 4 hours in a mix. Kudos to your hard work. Where is your studio? Economy crashed in that time frame, 2008 to 2009. I had $1 million film project studio deal that would set me up for life, only to have Writers Guild go on strike, shutting down all production and losing everything from the economic crash, including my home. It's been a hard time to claw back. Dude, wow, that's heavy. That's definitely out of any scope I would have the qualifications to comment on. I can't say where my studio is though. I'm in Indiana. I'm just north of Indianapolis, for about half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on how fast you drive. Just north on Indianapolis. If you take 31 straight north, you'll eventually get here. So if you guys want to go to my website, you can stalk me even further than that, but I don't think it's necessary to put my address up on YouTube. But on that point, man, I don't want to seem like I know everything about this. The only thing I will say for the other people looking at this is why I've kind of mentioned in some other videos, like diversification. Even doesn't matter what you're in, if you're only doing one thing, you can really set yourself up for failure. In the event of something very unexpected happened, like this, and this poor dude says he lost his house. That's terrible. There's no way you could possibly plan for that. And even with the best planning in place, like it can still be unavoidable. However, you could hedge yourself against that, trying to spread out your talents across as many things as possible. This is recording studio loser, that's sure, but my income comes from live sound installs, doing consultations, doing anything really to deal with sound. And there's a whole lot of that out there. Different career paths that don't just involve artist, musician, album, recording studio. Yeah, that's my interest. This is what I'm mainly focused on, but see what else you can use your talents for to get you away from just one thing, to diversify as much as possible. Bullfunk Studios says, good video, thanks. And would you talk about your adventure of when you started out the business and more details on what were the common mistakes or turns that you took that you should have done otherwise? How did you tackle and build your network at the start when your business was down or at a point of worrying? How long before things started kicking off for you? Assuming you were at the time professionally competent with your craft and running the studio. More about business and marketing side, please. Thanks. That's an interesting question. And I've been afraid to kind of approach videos like this with the marketing and business side because, I mean, part of what I'm a nerd on, I love watching financial channels on YouTube. Graham Stephan, Meet Kevin. Oh my gosh, I love those channels. And if I'm being honest, like, recording studio is my means of getting to kind of that other stuff. But anyway, man, in the beginning, I think what got me through was probably sheer ignorance, if I'm being totally honest. I plan on doing a video on the Dunning-Kruger effect, and if you don't know what that is, go ahead and hit subscribe and the bell to be notified when that comes out. Because there's a whole lot of negative things about the Dunning-Kruger effect, and honestly, when I was going to script the video, I had talked about this from a negative standpoint and to try to avoid yourself falling into the negative effects of what the Dunning-Kruger curve looks like. And if you don't know, that's basically if you're inexperienced, you feel like you know a lot about a topic, and then the more you learn, the less confident you are, until finally you basically are a master at the craft and you're finally confident again, essentially. However, this kind of has a negative connotation of like younger engineers being way too cocky. And honestly, I think that's a necessity in this. And it was a necessity for me. If I look back, if I did not have this ignorant, I don't know that I was cocky, but let's be real, I was probably cocky. If I didn't have that kind of bold-faced ignorance at what I was up against, I probably never would have started something like this. And honestly, I don't know how some of the people who supported me during that transition did, because it's insane. Like, this is crazy. Why would you do this? But I mean, it goes to show, like, the harder you work, and as long as you're willing to learn, you can get ahead of something and you can succeed at it. And obviously results may vary, but common mistakes for me way back when was not getting my room right, Even in a studio, like there were some real issues with my room and my listening experience, the main one. If you can figure out your listening first, you're so far ahead of the curve before anything else, before upgrading your interface, before upgrading your preamps, your microphones. The monitoring is the least sexy thing you can probably start with, and your clients will not care. They won't care, but it is seriously the number one thing, because if you can't hear the differences, if you can't trust your mix to leave your desk and to go to your car and sound predictable, I don't even want to say the same, because that's relatively impossible. But if it can't sound predictable on other systems, no matter what you purchase, better converters, better interface, better gear, better what does not matter. Record the best band, doesn't matter. If you can't hear it to mix it, it's all over. Or if you can't hear it to make sure you're tracking the right thing, or if you can't hear it to make sure you're miking that kick drum the right way, or you can't hear it and you can't mic up that guitar cab the right way, then all these things compound, and then your record really quickly sounds like hot garbage because all these little tiny things were missed. And in this industry, in what we do, it's the little tiny things that make up everything. It's the little things that make the big picture. The number one thing I would say is monitoring. How did I tackle the network? Man, it was hard at first, for sure. And I always talk about getting repeat clients on this channel, but it didn't start that way. I definitely had to record as many people as possible. And that was often taking like a humble approach and let me try something with you. Let me do this. And it was a lot of failures before I really figure out what I was good at doing. And then I kind of niched down into some certain types of records for a while to really hone my skills. And then I kind of came out of that again and branched out into a lot of other things. I'm a person, I would get bored working on one genre, so I need to do a whole lot of different projects to stay engaged, to stay creatively engaged. And you talk about if I was professionally confident, I would say that's a struggle even. No matter how far you go down this road, there is so much you can be nervous about, and you're not gonna get these things right all the time. It's a constant struggle of being professionally confident, and I don't think that changes from day one to at least where I am right now. I have a feeling a lot of people would say the same thing. Imposter syndrome is real, especially in kind of a secluded line of work like what we do. A lot of times we're alone working, and it can really creep in. So being professionally confident just really comes down to doing the best work you possibly can and knowing that that's good enough. Like, not everyone is going to be satisfied all the time. All you can do is be as customer service minded through the whole process. And if somebody's really not happy with something, like working with them until they're happy, or cutting your losses and saying, you know what, maybe we don't work well together and it's best for everybody if we just don't work together. And you could definitely do that in a way that's not destructive to the relationship, and maybe it'll be right later down the line. And I've certainly done that. I have told people no. I have told people it is not a good time for us to work together. One of those clients I can think with, I'm working with currently, I told them no early on in their career because I really didn't think their vision lined up with my vision, and it was absolutely fine. Since then, we've made 3 records. I love working with this person, and I think they like working with me because they keep coming back, and we just seem to hit it on so many different levels. And I think that's a testament to saying no to that person the first time. They went and did their own thing for a while, and then they came back. Whatever they learned made us work a lot better in the future, and whatever that was, I'm stoked on it. So, because this person's a killer songwriter and they just keep pumping it out. So anyway, guys, new style of video for me, answering questions in bulk on a video. If you like this, hit the like button. Like, seriously, this is gonna help me figure out if you guys like this style of video. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Let me know. I'm genuinely curious if this is something you would like to see. In the interim, go ahead and ask as many questions in the videos, because I do look at them. I'm not great about responding to all of them. I try, I'm sorry, but I do read all of them. Put your questions below, put the comments below, hit the like button if you like it, hit the dislike button if you didn't. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm Resident Loser Jeremy. I'll see you guys later.